The ABN Champ Car World Series continues its quest back to the western side of the United States, and tonight it's Nevada playing host to our 300-kilometer feature. Welcome back to Sin City. This is the Las Vegas 300. And after, of course, a fantastic event we saw at Homestead Miami Speedway, Emily Howe collecting the checkered flag, all eyes are on who's next to take the top spot on the board as we're back to the intermediate circuits for the second week in a row. Welcome again to ABN Esports, and as it was last Wednesday, your commentating crew is just about the same entirely. I'm David Kreutz alongside Olivia Hayward and Taylor Mills, and we're getting ready to watch the racing. But of course, before then, practice is still on its way with just under 4 minutes remaining, and our qualifying session is coming immediately after. We're going to be slowly but surely working toward the nighttime skies here in Las Vegas, and right now, drivers racing across the sunset, and it's currently Nicholas Pressey, the fastest driver on the board, and we've seen a total of 27 times taken by 28 drivers. Most of the field still getting prepared for the racing ahead, and you see some drivers grouping up to packs already, of course, preparing for what is next. Now, as we get into it this time by, what are we thinking going into Las Vegas? Understanding, of course, we're once again to the intermediates, and it's somewhat similar to tracks like Chicago or Homestead. Coming through this time by, you're seeing the drivers get back to the proper positions here. You're looking as they come across for another lap of practice. We should be connected once again to the broadcast booth. Looks like there was a bit of a hiccup there, and we all should be together again. Now, the question is, Vegas, we've seen a few intermediates recently. What's it going to take to perhaps bring back that pace if you had it previously, or step your game up in case of some future circumstances, as we're only minutes away from heading into qualifying?
Yeah, it's going to be a real pack race here, so you're going to have to be very precise with what you're doing. The last thing you want is to be trying to make a move around the outside and run a little bit too close and send yourself into the outside wall. Very high speed, very close racing, so the margins are tight. You've got to be on your game and maybe play a little bit of strategy to get where you want to go, rather than taking the risk out at the front of the field.
Yeah, it's going to be really tricky to lead the front of a line all race tonight. As much as you can hold your car down there the entire way, which isn't the most difficult thing to do, you're going to be burning so much more fuel than the cars behind you. We're looking at somewhere between 37 and 44 laps for a fuel stint tonight. And with the relatively low banking, you're going to want to keep an eye on that front right tyre and not let it burn off to hopefully help you maintain that line down on the inside. Las Vegas Motor Speedway, it's a tricky one. And with the variable banking in turns 1 and 2 compared to turns 3 and 4, we're going to see a few different lines being ran by the cars in the dirty air tonight. And that wall on the exit of turn 2 comes up on you thick and fast. As the car changes over the course of a stint, you're going to need to be absolutely on your game with your tools. Adjusting that weight jacker, adjusting those ARBs, and making the car as easy to handle as you can. This circuit as well, I think it holds a special place in the heart of one of our commentators in the booth tonight. Isn't that right, Olivia?
Yeah, I mean, not just me, but a few others out on track in practice here were here this time last year. The real Las Vegas Motor Speedway, as a lot of incidents happened there in turn 2. Yeah, we were invited out for a sim racing event. Got to see the sights, watch the Pennzoil 400. And I think for everyone who was there, which will be on this field, Emily, Christina, Callie, and Jewel, if they make a start here, a special race for them, and one that I hope to do the best they can at, really.
Right now, practice coming to a close, a lot of expectations here in Las Vegas, and I feel like for many drivers, it's one of those circuits you definitely want to perform well at, be it for the reason, as you mentioned, with some real-world connection or otherwise, because Vegas, well known for previous open-wheel experience. We saw it, of course, on schedules of open wheel calendars until about 2011. Since then, it's been predominantly stock car racing, and of course, here in the virtual realm, still an opportunity, as it looks like now practice is over and we are on to our 10-minute qualifying session. Sophie Connell going to be the first driver on the track. Then from there, you got to keep in mind, of course, Homestead, Chicagoland, we've had experience at this track length, but it's different conditions tonight. The sun is setting, and it's going to be a nighttime sky in Las Vegas. How important is that when it comes to qualifying and setting down a hot lap? Maybe an opportunity for these drivers to do something different compared to previous weeks?
Well, the main thing is that if you can put your car on pole, you'll be able to control the race, at least in that first stint. It's quite easy to make moves up and down the field, sort of in the draft of that leader, but once you get to the front, it's very tricky to make a move. So if you want to try and control the race, that's what you're going to want to do. Otherwise, it's about putting yourself to you're comfortable with in the opening phase. Very much like a plate race in NASCAR terms, just find yourself into a rhythm early, save a little bit of fuel, and get yourself into contention in the final 20 laps. You can't race for a win if your car's destroyed in the first stint.
Coming around for a driver's first lap, times are being taken. Ruby Acosta going to go to the top of the board, Emma Kruger then second, and DJ Trout third, but only 9 drivers have taken the time, and of course all still lining up at the start-finish line. We're under the 25-second barrier, 28. Of course, 24.8. That's the fastest right now, and all times are within 0.6 of a second of one another, with Sophie Connell up on top, then Seth Wansing, and they're going to be first and second, separate by only 39 thousandths, with Austin Farr jumping into second. Nicholas Pressey makes his move up as well, and Mo Perry jumps up to provisional pole. Everyone making moves here at speeds of over 215 miles an hour, and now majority of the field has put at least one lap down. We're waiting on Cruz, Lilac Zier, Ruby Estes, Christina Ryan, Craig Forsyth, Bobby Blowers, Edson Santos, Zach McBride, Hunter Peach, and Hamilton Akabuzi. So majority of the drivers have gone through. The question now is, maybe someone can be the surprise who knocks off Mo Perry from the top, as he is the quickest by only 8 thousandths of a second over Bruce Silva.
Yeah, great performance from Mo Perry there, who has yet to score a top 10 finish, so looking to start from the front and make his own luck tonight under the lights.
Once again, oval qualifying proving to be not only difficult to keep track of, but putting out a very close competition. As we know, it's only a 1.5 mile circuit, and all those minor differences aren't going to add up to too much at a track like this. Of course, in qualifying, you are allowed to use the oval, so a lot of drivers taking of course you're allowed to use the oval, you're allowed to use the apron. A lot of the drivers that we're watching taking advantage of making their route to the line a little bit shorter, but that is almost everyone setting a lap now. A couple of split strategies I'm noticing up and down the field. Nick Pressey, the first driver to debut that last week at Homestead, Miami, who's one of the first guys that I noticed doing it, but we got a couple more, I think, joining him this time. 4 laps is all they get, though, to set their times. We do have cars coming back into the pit lane now at the end of their runs. So it's all about when you want to get out there on track. You can go out first, set your lap time, and then you've got 8 minutes or so to sit back, relax, breathe, and just get set for the race. But we've seen the likes of Christina Ryan, Emily Howe, Hamilton Akabuzi. They like to wait until the end of the session. Once all those lap times from everyone else has come in, you know what your target is, you know how hard you need to push, and you can go out there and set down the exact lap time that you need. Before then, it's just a little bit of guesswork, and you don't really know where the benchmark is. So I think, even for me personally, I'd much prefer going out later in a qualifying session than as early as some of our drivers tonight.
Yeah, I think it helps to have a benchmark to set. But as Christina Ryan goes top of the board, I think we've seen some drivers learning from Hamilton Akabuzi, showed up at Texas and really put on a clinic in qualifying, using a strategy where you sit in pit lane, you make sure that your engine is at the perfect window, the optimal temperatures as they do in real life, and then launching it, warming up the car slowly, and then sending it on lap 2 for that perfect lap. You only need the 1. And Christina Ryan, I think, was taking notes as a handful of other drivers also handing out in pit lane. Here's Hamilton Busey coming to hit that flying lap. Edson Santos puts it on pole as well. And Hamilton Busey,
wow.
Hit again. Even better, a 24.706 on pole by 700ths of a second. It's getting those temperatures in the window. Hamilton, being on I5G, having all of that experience behind him, knows how to do it perfectly. And the rest of the field is starting to cotton on. They're starting to try and win the fight. But, I mean, it takes a lot to take down Hamilton.
Up on the top of the board by 71 thousandths. That's the biggest margin we've seen in the entire session. Now, for reference, 71 thousandths of a second, that separates Edson Santos in second to Eli Sasek in ninth. So that's a head and shoulders faster lap than anyone else. Emily Howe goes up to 11th immediately. Now looks like Bobby Blowers and Craig Forsyth are on the track. And you can see Blowers now coming across the start-finish line. He's going to be way up top. And as you mentioned, 4 laps. He's not going to burn through this one. Going to actually get some speed and set himself up for the future times. Akabusi has the quickest lap by a long shot right now. 71 thousandths. That's the difference between he and Santos. Brandon Cruz finishes up and gets himself into 4th. Now it's all up to Blowers and or Craig Forsyth. If there's any other surprises, it's not impossible, but it's going to be certainly a challenge as Blowers goes down to the inside and goes great at our camera. He'll slide through the apron. He doesn't make contact, though, with pit road, but not going to be good. I think he'll have to perhaps get it back to pit road and get a new set of rubber.
To put in reference just how big a gap 700ths of a second is, if we're talking about a 90-second like road course or something to that effect, you're looking at a 0.3 of a second gap between P1 and P2, which is absolutely huge. It's all about those marginal differences here.
Yeah, Blowers' spin there on the apron was coming to start a fast lap, unfortunately, and so did not set a representative time. Is currently 28, and last of our qualifiers, Craig Forsyth, still yet to set a lap. It's just starting now. But has time to run it back. There's still about 3 minutes left in this session. Unfortunately, Emily Howe did not have a chance to use those temperature sort of engine warming strats because she's a very late addition to our field. Just joined in during the qualifying session. Running on very little practice, but didn't have to start in the middle of the field and really keep her head up to avoid carnage in the early phases.
2 drivers left on the track taking times. We're looking at one, Bobby Blowers, and it's also Craig Forsyth looking for some speed. Forsyth right now going to be 29th and last after his first lap, coming through his second and going to the start-finish line here. Forsyth going to be dropping down to the apron. No trouble there because he merges early, and that's going to take him from 29th up what looks to be a climb into 21st. So still a ways to go. I think we're only going to see faster driver, of course, laps from he and Bobby Blowers as Craig is going to head into pit road once again. Just about 90 seconds remaining. Blowers is going to be set in 29th. He's going to move up to 18th, and his qualifying run is over. So Blowers is done. Forsyth has 1 more lap left, I believe, if he wants to go for it. But that is the question, as he's going to lie course, stalled on pit road. Doesn't look to have any more movement than that number 27. And that might be the end of qualifying then and there with Blowers heading into pit road himself.
It's that time once again. Before we head to the grid and before the pace lap gets underway, we didn't discuss it before the broadcast tonight, but it's time to ask about picks.
I'm not doing it. No.
No pick today?
No. We've seen what happens when I try
to pick someone. You've got to pick someone. Go on.
You know who I'm going to pick? I'm going to pick Carmen Sienna because that way, if the curse continues, she can end this tradition by firing me at race's end.
David?
I'm thinking tonight, why not go with the driver who's going to be starting in 5th? I'm taking Mo Perry on this one. I feel like there's a chance he's going to stay up there for the long term. I'm going Mo Perry, and I'm locking in right now.
You know what? I haven't given it much thought, but this week I'm gonna try and hope there isn't any sort of commentator's curse going on here, and I'm sorry in advance if there is, but I'm going to go with Hamilton Akabuzi. Obviously, we know how quick he is on ovals. We've seen his performances when he came and dominated at Texas. And I think he would have had a good chance if he was actually here at Homestead, if he didn't keep dropping out. Mechanical failures, they happen in iRacing as well. But I think we're going to see an absolute masterclass from him tonight. He's going to be at the front, leading the way the entire way. And perhaps the only person who's going to be challenging him, or the only people, are going to be those guys on some sort of alternate fuel strategy. It's going to be cautions that will dictate how this race ends tonight. Relatively easy to get to the end on only a couple of stops. So a lot of those guys back in the pack are going to be looking at using that strategy, or at least saving enough fuel to take on less at the stop compared to the guys at the front.
Now up in the guys who are up in front, those are the drivers with the biggest advantage. To kick off the night for the Las Vegas 300, Hamilton Akabuzi once again at the top of the qualifying charts. Today, it looks like he was able to set a lap, and he'll be up there with the 24.706. Edson Santos going to be second after a podium run last week. 24.777s, looking to get lucky tonight and hit the jackpot. Then from there, third spot is going to be Christina Ryan, and it'll be Brandon Cruz in fourth. Fifth place then going to be Mo Perry, and Bruce Silva is sixth. Fourth spot, of course, when it comes to Rose, Sophie Connell's on the inside and Carmen Siena's on the outside. Sophie's got it in seventh, Sienna in eighth. And it's going to be to conclude the top 10, Eli Sasek in ninth and Zach McBride in the 47. 24.849 for both drivers. It's nearly a dead heat, but give it to Sasek as Zach McBride's the last man in our top 10.
Last week's winner, Emily Howe, rolls off 11th for our race tonight. Nicholas Pressey alongside making up the 6th row. Austin Farr and Seth Wanzin line up 13th and 14th, with Emma Kruger and Rubia Costa making up your 8th row of the grid, Lobby 15th and 16th. Lily Pelletier Sharp, Bobby Blowers, Lily Fraser and Brennan Gregg, as we get into the 24.87s, will round out your top 20. Parker Alexander and Trade Forsyth will line up 21st and 22nd. DJ Trout and Bryce Socia will make up your 12th row of the grid. Hunter Peach and Lila Zir behind on row 13. Alex Martin, Selena Thompson and Ruby Estes rounding out your qualifiers, and Josh Gaiman, who may have made it into the session, but maybe not, could be a surprise 30th entrant. But it is not rolling on the grid here. If that does happen, will be a pit lane start.
Yeah, we were looking at possibly sending some people home tonight with how the signups are looking, but fortunately, we haven't had to do that. We're going to have 29 cars starting here, unless Josh Gamer manages to roll out of his garage and onto the track. And the sun is, of course, going down here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It means those track temps are going to drop, and it's certainly going to help our drivers keep a hold of their tyres tonight. We've already talked about the keys of the race, but what do we think is going to be the most difficult thing to kind of keep a hold of tonight?
I think it'll be just knowing where everyone is. We saw in practice some 3 wide racing in the pack behind the leader. If you're in that situation, you've got those lanes going, cars ahead, behind. You've got to make sure you don't clip the front wing with your right rear, because you spin to the inside, you can maybe get away with it. You spin to the outside, and there is a hard lesson in see you next week on how that one's going to go.
Now just a lap away from tonight's action, 125 laps or 300 kilometers. That's the measurement for this race. And strategy, we mentioned it previously in our discussions before the race, estimates of about a 37 to 44 lap run for each and every pit stop. So it's going to be, I think, a stop strategy. It boils down to that's if everything goes without a yellow flag. So keep in mind the drivers who are going to be looking to make that strategy work out and maybe try to stretch the fuel. Hamilton Akabuzi was the dominant man in Texas before that last lap incident, and look at the man who's right beside him to kick off this race. Edson Santos. This is the matchup I think we've been looking for ever since that fateful day in Texas, and once again, the two drivers who made everything so exciting that night are once again together. I think we're going to have to watch how these first few laps play out. We mentioned, of course, Edson Santos, and he delivered, of course, the apology in last week's interview, but it's, of course, something in the mind of Hamilton, given he wasn't able to race last time around. Keep the number 7 and the 20, your front row, in mind as we are about to head through 3 and 4 and get things going tonight. The iRacing official pace car is set to drop down and in and let the field get to work. The green flag is going to drop for the first time in Sin City. A night sky with 29 entries and 1 driver. Hamilton Akabusi gets to lead the field to the green flag. Welcome to Las Vegas. We're on the move, and the front row gets away nicely. Looks like trouble already. Yellow flag in the back of the field. Taking a look at what caused it. We're seeing the caution signal. I don't see reason to believe that's actually the case, though. Looks like the green flag is out. So maybe my timing and scoring going to be messing us up, but we're getting really close already. Down at the bottom side, looking way down low. You're looking at Sophie Connell in the mix, and so many drivers already contending for a position. It's going to be the Hornet's Nest in the middle of the pack. The leaders beginning to get away, and we've gotten things started here in Las Vegas. All things considered, looks like most drivers going to get away 2 by 2. The leaders now trying to get away a bit further than that. It's going to be Hamilton Akabusi up in front, and then Christina Ryan in second. Third is going to be Mo Perry. He jumps up there from 5th, but the podium largely going to stay the same.
Somebody told me the inside line was the way to go tonight. The amount of energy those guys had off the start already coming into play. That top side dropping back completely. Your second place starter, Edson Santos, back down in 7th. Just not being able to make anything happen on that top side at the moment. Absolutely no energy up there. It's going to be really difficult to pass these guys down low tonight.
There was very nearly an incident between Eli Satter and Osfar a couple of laps ago. Slight wheel contact, a bit of a whittle, but they both got pointed in the right direction. Going back to that early potential incident call, it seems like the MPEM duo of Nicholas Pressy and Bryce Socia taking a gamble, electing for a pit road start, expecting some carnage in the opening laps, but it's not come yet. They are about half a lap down already in this race, and they are hoping that the caution does come before this patch swallows them up.
Lap trouble it could be already for these two drivers. You see them working together right now, but the pack is far, far away. Not going to be an easy night for them. A setback early, and the leaders are coming through. Pressy's going to be nowhere in sight as Hamilton Akabusi and Christina Ryan go 2 by 2. Carmen Siena's up to 3rd as well, and Seth Wensing from 14th on the board has made it up to 4th. Drivers are really getting aggressive right now, and you're seeing guys who started outside the top 10 making their lunges in. Siena going to be from 8th, 14th for Seth Wensing, and Zach McBride from 10th to 5th. Hard Chargers are making the move up and already fighting with the drivers who were dominant in qualifying. Maybe that's going to be trend as the night progresses here. Already seems to be the case, as it's going to be Akabusi now battling 2 by 2, 2 rows behind. It's going to be defense all night long for your leader, no matter who that driver is.
Yeah, the qualifying positions for this car, very specialist knowledge to require to extract that ultimate pace for 1 lap. Once you get into the race situation, some of these drivers who maybe have come over from stock cars can lean upon their instincts a little bit more and can make those charges back from the field. It's still Hamilton Busey, who seemingly can do it all, leading, but we see a couple of stock car drivers, Tina Ryan and Carmen Sienna, really starting to push and to try and take the fight to him.
Yeah, fortunately for Christina Ryan, she did try and make that high side work, but she had her teammate Carmen Sienna behind her, who, after giving it a go, was just able to let her slot back in and retake that inside line. We're now looking at those two on the podium together.
podium, going to have some different faces here with Sienna running in third and Ryan down low. It's been a big question of whether or not anyone can manage against Hamilton Akabuzi here with this defense of multiple grooves. Now, Texas was that display of dominance that really put everyone in the series on to how good this number 7 is. And the question is now, after a race full of learning how to work with this driver, what can anyone do to make another line work? Well, the inside line is being protected by someone who knows it oh so well. Christina Ryan gonna go down to the inside, looking for the race lead and trying to leave the door open. That's gonna bring Carmen Sienna, but just no room off turn 4 and not gonna be enough at the line. Already gonna be a dozen laps in, 12 laps through for these drivers as they make it out of the start-finish line again, and Hamilton gonna hold them off nicely. Still not gonna be enough done for these drivers as the middle of the field keeps things going. You can see there, further on back in the mix, there's going to be a battle between Emma Kruger here, just ahead of this number 70 machine. You're going to see Selena Thompson at the line. They're going to be side by side, and even if you are not up in front directly, everyone is close quarters from the lead on back, and it's going to be pressure all throughout here. I think more pressure than anyone it's going to be for Hamilton, who still is your leader.
Yeah, he's not hooding the white line completely, as we thought potentially he might want to do, but I think he's arcing in and out of the corners to try and preserve that right front as much as possible, knowing that it could pay off late with the stint if everyone burns the tire in the dirt. Yeah, it puts him under a little bit of pressure from Christina Ryan in the meantime if he can find a gap to the bottom, but he's doing his best to keep the door as closed as possible, and Christina, who we know has a very solid head on her shoulders, isn't looking to take too many risks early. Is pretty happy running around in second and maybe saving a little bit of fuel as they are making 3 lanes behind. Austin Farr has been pretty looking to move up very early. Of course, our 2-time winner taking that race in Texas and going on with Charlotte Roval with a grand slam.
Right now, with Ryan still running just behind Hamilton Akabuzi, the charge to immediately go for the lead has simmered down, but the mid-pack, not so much. You'll see Craig Forsyth, Bobby Blowers, Austin Farr, Eli Sasic, Ruby Acosta, and many others here working multiple grooves, high side and bottom, and they're both going to be trying to make the same thing happen, those passes for position, but the inside line got off to a much better start. Edson Santos is down to 14th from second in qualifying. It looks like the top side really not working the way drivers hoped, and it hasn't given in to much success, at least for now. Well, nighttime skies, different conditions from our previous intermediate races. Is there anything in particular that might be causing this for the field, or is it just about the driver's expertise in managing such a situation?
It's a combination of the two. We're looking at some really relatively cool track temps for the Las Vegas Motor Speedway tonight. Still down in that 32 degrees Celsius, is that roughly 100 degrees Fahrenheit? I need to get a conversion out for that. It's just allowing the cars to grip up a little bit more, especially the tyres, as we've got one car just a little bit on the wall on the outside of turn 1 there. But yeah, the colder temps is just allowing the tyres to keep their temperatures cool, to grip the track a little bit better. And then of course you've got the slightly denser air, just giving those cars a little bit more downforce to work with, a little bit more pressure pushing them into the ground. And it just makes running that inside line so much easier. You don't need to come up, you don't need to arc the corner, you just need to keep the car down low, and it's going to carry the speed all the way through.
Still going to be side by side. Craig Forsyth here, one driver trying to make some waves. You're going to see Emily Howe, who won at Homestead, trying to make something happen here in the 14th spot. Started in 11th, so going to be a very slight position drop, but with so much time remaining, not much a worry, I'd think, as everyone is here with the pack. But at the same time, maybe getting this close to the leader is a bit of a worry. Everyone is so close to one another. The track is absolutely packed no matter how you slice it. So for a driver who's behind the leader, but of course doesn't want to get involved in an incident, there's really not much you can do. Falling too far back in your race is going to be a lost cause, perhaps for Bryce Saucier and Nicholas Pressey. They're going to be in a lot of trouble for the rest of the day. But if you're going to be closer, you're in much more of a high risk of getting involved in a quick incident, which could change your night drastically. No fast repairs, so it's going to be whether or not you survive based on the entire night of racing. And even though everyone's 2 by 2 right now, it's largely been a procession early on. I doubt it's going to remain as safe. There's trouble indeed.
Hunter Peach, who got a little bit of a tap a couple laps ago from Peltier Sharp, just side by side in the backstretch. gets into the back of Sophie Connell, it looks like.
Yeah,
or the other way around, Sophie Connell got into the back of Hunter Peach and bid into now turn 4, collecting maybe 2 or 3 cars. And that is our first caution of the night on lap 21 of our race.
Yeah, unfortunately, with all the draft that's available for these drivers to use tonight, it's kept the pack bunched together all the way so far. And there have been no runaway horses so far tonight. But unfortunately, it was only a matter of time before this quiet town kind of turned into a bit of a hot fuss.
Oh, wow, really? You going with that?
I've got a list, I'm working my way through it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, just going to this caution, Hunter Peach was trying to work the high side and try to cut down on the exit of 4, get a good run, but that low side sort of prevailed, and Sophie Connell was running in that middle groove, holding their line, and Hunter Peach wasn't quite clear, came down. A little bit of netcode, maybe assisting, but it's hard to tell whether there would have been contact without that. In the end, it's both those cars, as well as Brandon Cruz, who got collected in the aftermath, as the entire field comes down pit road here. Everyone taking opportunity of the tanks, just under half full at this point, to top off, get some fresh tyres on, and send it back out for the rest of the race.
Hamilton Nakabuzi then winning the race off pit road, maintaining the lead. And he's thinking, even after leading this pack, after all these things that I've done, I've still managed to get a good pit stop off and get off pit road nice and cleanly. Not too much change at the front of the field though. Fuel strategy not coming into play this early in the race, but perhaps with this first stop it's going to push that a little bit later down the road. And I feel it in my bones, it may get a little bit more interesting towards the end tonight.
Hey, these puns are killer. Just...
Oh, that's good. I like that. I don't know how I didn't go for that one.
I was expecting a lot of gambling, a lot of poker, a lot of casino puns, but you took it by surprise going with the alternate option here at Las Vegas.
The Killers are one of my favourite bands, and they're from Las Vegas, so...
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I was listening to them a fair bit this time last year. So,
was that
we go
because you
1
were
for green, I believe, this time by. Hamilton Busey did make it up off pit road first. Sat McBride and Bobby Blowers behind. It looks like, looking by his pit stop times, everyone did take tyres while they were topping off on fuel there. Just differences in how they executed the pit road entry, making the difference. And what this will do, of course, is this will bunch Nicholas Pressey and Bryce Sosia, who were doing a good job swap drafting to hold on to the lead lap without too much issue, but were going to have to pit early with that extra fuel burn. They're now back in the pack, 21st and 22nd. We'll see if they drop back again for a little bit of safety, or whether now they think it's a good time to get back on cycle with everyone else, as we're going to have 101 laps to go when Hamilton Busey is given the green flag by Barney the Flagman, and we are back racing here in Sin City.
So far, it's been the Hamilton Nakabusi show, much as it was last time he was able to get racing at Texas, and it's been no question he's led at just about every lap to this point.
Some issues, I think Pressey's having some connection issues, very nearly a big instant at the tail end of our pacing field, but it looks like we're okay. We'll get back to green flag conditions very soon.
Good to hear everything's all right back there. Pressey, we have to keep an eye out for him. First time he's with the pack as the green flag flies. Restart at lap 25. Nakabusi gets the jump. McBride right behind. The RAC driver spreading out 2 by 2. Look further back and you can see the drivers beginning to look up top. Most drivers take it down low on the exit of 2 into the Analyst straightaway.
Yeah, we see a single file restart here. Of course, the initial start double file, but this gives people more of a chance to choose which lane they want to go in. But already we're back to start to the front of the field, and those runs come at the lead of the pack very sharply, and already drivers hunting for that clean air and just hunting for space to keep the car in one piece, really.
Space going to be compromised for so many of these drivers. Hamilton Akabusi going to be up in front, but Zach McBride going to take it in the middle of the corner and make it up to second immediately after. Zach now going to be the highest running spot he's been all night long. Hunter Peach, due to that incident, is going to be disconnected from tonight's racing. Brandon Cruz and Sophie Connell going to be multiple laps down as well, but your leader's getting away nicely here, and McBride, who kicked things off in the 10th spot, he's moved up to second. Bobby Flowers from 18th on the grid up to 3rd, and now going to be side by side there, looking up to the top side on Zach McBride, trying to take second. There's an opportunity here for him to look and take his spot away, but the high side has not been easy all night long. I think we all know that now.
Bobby Flowers touching the apron on the inside of turns 1 and 2 there. Christina Ryan giving him the space, just backing up to let him gather it all up, and even after that, everything will be alright. But whoa, there's contact! Massive contact on the exit of 3.
Oh, no.
Christina Ryan's involved. Everyone's involved in that one. It's the big one here at Las Vegas.
Disaster. We see multiple drivers somersaulting in the air. It is a huge incident, and it is a smoke show beyond belief. Wow. Forsyth destroyed. You look ahead of him, there's Sasek who's already on pit road. We got to back up the tape again. That's the biggest wreck of the night by a wide margin. Here's a replay which shows them tumbling. Wow.
I count about a dozen meatball flags being shown by race control here. This is going to be a very different field when we restart this race. Nicholas Pressey actually got caught in a netcode incident, blinked out, and got ran through Arthur Alexander, broke the rear wind, but that might actually keep him in this race. He's gone a lap down, but will cycle well back into the top 20 after... Where does this incident start here? We're on board with Trade Forsyth, and just nowhere to go already. The incident's so far ahead. You know, Ryan still out on track, just trying to gain as many spots as possible of cars that have damage, but that will be her race, it seems like.
Yeah, just watch to the inside over the line. That's Lily Pelletier-Sharp diving down low, running for cover to try and get through that wreck, and manages to get through nice and cleanly, but wow, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, so the initial contact looks like that McBride washes up into the side of Eli Sasek, and then behind, Carmen Sienna tries to take evasive action, expecting a wreck, and ends up clipping Eli into the low side of the field. Just a chain reaction on the exit of 4 there. That yeah, that's about half the field gone now. We're gonna have a lot to unpack from that one. See who can keep it rolling. Maybe who has damage that can be fixed. But it's gonna be an early night for a lot of drivers here.
What a wreck that was. We watch it one more time with Sasek, who was there from the beginning, and it got a little bit jittery at the end with so many people refreshing going into pit road, and the field is substantially different right now. We're looking at what's going to be Alex Martin on track, Austin Farr going to message, Emma Kruger there as well. So many drivers damaged substantially. The rest of this race is going to look so much different. That's the biggest wreck we've seen all year so far. No question. You see Lily Pelletier-Sharp is going to be right behind Christina Ryan, and I don't know what Ryan can do from this point. You can see the left front is absolutely destroyed, and it's going to be crab walking all the way through the corners just to maybe keep it out there for a few more laps, but then nothing left. Perhaps when all is said and done, I think Ryan's race is going to be one of the many ended by a disaster so early, and going to be a very unfortunate ending for just about half the field, as we mentioned here. Christina Ryan. Take a look who's on pit road right now. Austin Farr, who's a 2-time winner already this season. Emma Kruger. In addition, you're also going to see Craig Forsyth. Then Bryce Saucier. Then Lilac Zier. Ruby Estes as well. Mo Perry's on pit road. Brandon Cruz is too. And this is going to take out just south of 10 that we can confirm for now. And with drivers like Ryan still going despite major incidents, I think this is going to be definitely about a 15, 16 car field of drivers who are really fine to keep on going.
Yeah, Christina Ryan does have a meatball flag to serve and will come down pit road probably this time. Again, just trying to pick up spots from people who pit early there. And I can't can't really argue against her for it. That is probably about 5-10 spots gained just from doing that, but it'll probably be our 18th place for her once Field's back going. It looks like Joshua Gamer might be about to wheel that car out on track after avoiding potentially one of the biggest crashes we've seen in Champ Car, and is on for a top 20 if he can just bring that car to the finish despite being over 30 laps down once he takes the field.
Yeah, as we know, loads of points on offer, not only here tonight, but throughout the entire championship. Christina Ryan just trying to make the most of that. Get as many laps on all the broken cars as she can. Because a lot of those guys will have got involved, got their damage, and parked it almost straight away. But she can stay ahead of all those folks. It might help her come the end of the season.
Every point matters, so that one lap is going to be a major advantage. I mean, Craig Forsyth is on pit road. He still scored on the lead lap. Lilac Zier is the last driver we can really confirm is still with us here, and I think that means there's 16 on the lead lap as it stands. Wow. From 30 that registered, and Joshua Gaiman is going to get with us too, so he could be the 17th driver to be really going. We are just down to half the field in one incident. Second caution of the day, but the big one in Sin City strikes very quickly, and you know, we made the pun about it being killer. I think we just saw it then and there, and Hamilton Akabusi wants to get away. He wants to stay alive with this number 7 as he'll lead the field back for restart number 2. Green flag again in the air.
Oh, and a bit of a checkup on that restart there. Looks like we got away with it, and we're racing back into turn 1. Again, stay single file, but we'll very quickly bunch up at the front of the field. Let's hope for a bit of a cleaner first couple laps here on this restart. Heading into 3 and 4, and Bobby Blau's chasing the bottom lane, goes above Howard Takabusi, but he's going to struggle to get that run. The shorter lane really going to prevail when out of turn 4. Further behind, mostly single file at this point. Maybe drivers looking to play it a lot safer here. But at the front of the field, still moves from top to bottom. Drivers seeing if they can find any way past Howard Takabusi, who, I mean, we shows how important qualifying can be. He's been at the front of the field, and if a wreck happens behind you, you don't know to avoid it. You're home free already.
Yeah, Seth Wansing looking to the high side, coming into turns 1 and 2 left side. Got a little bit of overlap coming through this time on our race leader. Almost pulls up right alongside, but just no momentum on that top side at the moment. Obviously no draft up there, you're just hitting a wall of solid cold air, but hang on, a little bit of a mistake from Hamilton Akabusi perhaps has given Seth a run on the outside, but it disappears just as quickly as it arrives. Hamilton Akabusi still hugging that inside line. No help up top for Seth Wansing, and once again, no change of position at the front of the field.
Got 17 cars still running here, it seems like. Make that 18. I think Brandon Cruz has managed to bring that car back out. We've got a couple of drivers limping around with some damage. Nicholas Pressey has immediately dropped off the back of the field. I think taking the approach similar to the pit lane start that he took at the start of the race, just expecting another huge incident like that and staying well clear. They are 2x2 in this main pack, which holds 15 cars at the current moment, down from a starting field of 29. And they're side by side, and actually Seth Wansing gets the nose ahead into turn 3. But it seems like the run's going to disappear. The short line prevails once again, and he's going to have to try another time in the future.
He's not giving up at the moment. That lead car is absolutely full of Shell Champ car at the moment. As he looks to the high side again, takes a shot of the night, side by side on the back stretch, staying in that high lane but not being able to make anything work once again. Just that lack of momentum, that lack of we're missing the progressive banking from Homestead to kind of make a line up there tonight. And obviously we can't bump draft in these cars like we can in stock cars, so Seth's got no help up the top to help push him past our race leader. So he's just waiting for a very human mistake from our race leader as Bobby Blowers looks to the outside now to try and make a move, but isn't going to be able to make it work yet again. The draft in the short line proving way too powerful as Seth Wansing just gets a little bit of overlap once again, and he's just had that inside line taken away from him by Bobby Blowers. I think he might live to regret that one.
Coming down the back straightaway, such a smaller field, and these shots are really going to show you very few still left in contention, but those that are making full advantage of that real estate they have. You see Lily Peltier-Sharp, Bobby Blowers, Ruby Acosta, Selena Thompson, all moving up into this lead frame, and they are all drivers that started outside of the top 10, with the exception of Seth Lansing. The remainder of your top 5 started outside of the top 15. Hamilton Akabuzi's been at the pole, but second on back are drivers who have clawed up big time, and for them, being in the back of the field early was their saving grace. They weren't involved in that big one in the same capacity, and as such, as drivers come by lap in, lap out, we haven't seen as much of a fall off for these drivers as they're now getting their feet wet with lead lap experience, and now they're fighting for the race lead. But I think Hamilton's got them all settled in nicely. Hasn't had to worry all too much about where these drivers go, as they're still getting to grips with what it's like to be fighting for the lead.
That's very much hold your breath moments back in the pack, especially after seeing and surviving what we saw back on lap 30 or so. Yeah, everyone even a little bit more room, it seems like. The 2 lanes further back are pretty far away from each other. And, yeah, for people who have survived what they've seen, I think maybe showing a bit of patience, just trying to keep clocking these laps and try and avoid a repeat of what we saw earlier.
Going to be focused on that procession as the race goes on. Hamilton Akabuzi has led every lap to this point. You look back, there's Selena Thompson looking for second here, and the battle for the runner-up spot is beginning to build more and more, and there's 15 drivers in the pack. Nicholas Bressy's still on the lead lap, but as we mentioned, he is far off of the leader's speed. You see there, Zach McBride going to be in 7th with DJ Trout in 8th. 9th is then going to be Alex Martin, and Carmen Sienna is going to round out the top 10. Drivers keep on going. We're going to find out who wants to make the moves to be aggressive with the next pit cycle coming up. Now, much more conservative we're racing as it stands. Maybe there's going to be an opportunity to get that green flag pit cycle in. You think there's going to be drivers who are further back in this pack who want to move closer and maybe be a bit more aggressive when the proper time comes?
Yeah, it's got to be done. The only time we're going to be seeing big changes of position here, I think, is going to be under a green flag pit stop. So hopefully our drivers can keep their heads screwed on straight. Try and make some moves in the pack where you can. Obviously, if you're a bit further back, you've got a bit more draft to work with, so you can get some momentum on the high side as long as there's space for you to go. But yeah, a lot of the position gains are going to be on how much less you take at the pit stop as we bunch up 2 by 2 at the front yet again.
Seth Wansing, Selena Thompson still trying to find room here from Hamilton Akabuzi. Now it's going to be Seth looking behind and Selena looking right up top. Hamilton has been the leader so far, continuing to hold that inside line perfect. But the outside crew starting to get some momentum, though just not enough to make the pass stick. Neck and neck from 3 and 4 once again. Looks like Thompson going to remain up top, but with no momentum, it becomes more and more challenging to make that pass looking high at the line. Still not enough. It's been that game of back and forth cat and mouse racing between Hamilton and the rest of the field, and as many drivers who have tried it, there's as many who have failed. So far, nobody able to get by that number 7 at 49 laps in. Coming to 50 next time by. This race has been rapid quick. We're already coming up slowly but surely to the halfway marker, and we're sure to see more drivers try to make their move here on Hamilton. Still no success. The number 7 blocking the most important line. The all-important bottom side has been held off just about as well as anyone could. The middle and top have been used, but not to much success. And with so many drivers coming and going, the battle for second is really heated up here. Ruby Acosta, DJ Trout, Lily Peltier-Sharp, all in the mix, and they're separate by less than a half a second every time. At the line, very close, 16 thousandths, but still goes in the favor of our man of the 7.
Just a reminder for everyone, pit window under green. These times can go 37 laps full push with saving in the pack. You probably extend it to about 44. The leader here has run 28 laps on this tank. Now, of course, we had some caution laps to extend that stint, but we are not too far off potentially getting some green flag pit stops here. And we have some drivers who topped off under that last caution, who could maybe go a bit longer, so we could see some difference in strategy as this race progresses, as Selena Thompson right alongside Hamilton Akabusi really pinching to the white line, and looks like a little bit of contact there coming out of turn 4, razor thin margins, and I'm thinking it might be a little bit early for racing that close, but it seems to be the only thing you can do to try and get past the leader on the inside line here. Hamilton Akabusi driving a faultless race, and people are starting to get desperate.
Yeah, Selena Thompson really trying to make some work on that outside line at the moment. A little bit of contact from him there, coming on the exit of Ford, almost put Selena in the wall, but Hamilton Akabusi and Selena holding on to it there. And this fight's going to resume because Selena Thompson's already looking back to the outside for a run. But unfortunately for Seth, that's leaving Hamilton's slight kind of chink in his armor at the moment, is the fact that he opens up the corners a little bit on entry as Selena Thompson goes to the outside once again, but thinks better of it. Hamilton's been leaving that inside line a little bit open on corner entry, and all it's going to take in the dying stages of the dying laps of this race is one really aggressive driver trying to put their nose down there to try and make a move work. But as it stands for now, everyone behaving. Hamilton is holding that inside line, and he is the man right now.
I will say, as drivers start to be discharged from the medical centre, they are making their opinions clear on the type of racing we've seen today and the wreck they're involved in. And there's not too much pleasure going on, I'll say. A lot of very frustrated drivers back in pit lane. Given the wreck they're involved in, I can't exactly blame them. We're gonna potentially have to see some changes made to the package for future oval races like this, but for now, we've got Selena Thompson still giving it absolutely everything to try and get past Hamilton Akabusi to lead this race.
It's been the Hamilton Akabusi show so far all night long. Many have tried, and still many are trying. DJ Trout's going to be in third, the highest spot he's running all night long. Number 93 now going to be running within the podium and looking right behind Selena Thompson. Thompson's held on a second now for the past 15 laps, but there's an opportunity maybe for DJ to make a move and take that spot away. You're watching on board with the number 93, and we're going to figure out what he does as he nearly gets ran over there with a number 63 coming right at him, and now DJ with some momentum looking up top, hits the wall, and that's a little bit of trouble, and the push for second looks like he'll have to lie back a bit more and let a few other drivers get back in the mix.
Yeah, with all the aggression that we're seeing on show right now, perhaps there is still a little bit of life to come in this race, and with Selena Thompson doing a really good job of holding on to that P2. She was very smart about not giving up that inside line to Trout, who's had to drop back now and is battling with Wansing. So it's going to be interesting to see how now she tries to mount an attack again on Hamilton Akabusi and try and make something happen. Step Wansing back up to third.
Hamilton Akabusi and a lot of the front half of the field here, now their 37th lap in the stint. Those caution laps will extend it so far, and especially with Hamilton punching the hole in the air for a lot of this so far, could be seen a move to pit road in the next couple of laps. The cars behind can extend a bit longer, but that would hand lead off to Selena Thompson, who topped off under the previous caution, has maybe 5 extra laps of fuel to go with, and could see her lead the first laps of the race, not by the number 7 car, very shortly.
Thompson now going to be battling again here, as you see DJ Trout making it in the second spot, and even though that contact we saw just a few laps ago, not going to deter DJ. He'll move up into the runner-up position once again. Ruby Acosta now going to be in 6th. Lily Peltier-Sharp is in 7th, with Alex Martin then in 8th, and the pack is still going to be very, very tight to one another, even going back here to Lilac Zier and Emily Howe fighting each other in the back portion of the lead lap. Still going to be a total of 15 drivers on the lead lap, going back to Nicholas Presti. One driver signaling in. That's going to be Hamilton, and this time by expect a pit stop from your race leader at the halfway marker. Hamilton Akabusi is going to signal in a pit road, and watching through 3 and 4, it looks like there's a chance he'll drop in right about now, and he's going to make his way into pit road this time through your leader. Going to take it through first, DJ Trout and Selena Thompson are both going to stay out, and as such, pit road getting busy with our first green flag cycle of the night.
Seth Wansing follows the number 7 car in. We're catching a little bit of traffic here. Selena Thompson shooting to the outside of Bobby Blowers. We've got Zach McBride, who's about to fall 2 laps down on Nicholas Pressey, who's hanging on to the tail end of the lead lap. Selena Thompson maybe finding a little bit of the draft though, or maybe DJ Trout looking to sit behind, save a little bit of fuel to make the extra lap. Again, Selena Thompson, the only driver in the top 6 to have topped off. Everyone else is going to have to come to pit road very shortly. Everyone stopping here will have one more stop left. I don't think anyone can save Trout a stop from here. And Selena Thompson is going to have a bit of a breakaway once the cars behind start to filter into pit road.
And we're seeing now the skill and the talent that's involved with taking a pit stop here in the Champ Car machines. Hamilton Akabusi, who was only about a second ahead of Seth Wansing when they came into the pit lane, is now 2.5 seconds ahead. Now, Hamilton's been leading the race the entire way, and Seth's been saving a lot of fuel. But even with all of that and the shorter pit stop, Hamilton hasn't lost the lead. He's actually extended it relative to one of his closest opponents right now.
Yeah, the reduced fuel tank here means that the tyre stop takes a fair amount of time, as Selena Thompson actually does pit now, doesn't try and extend, looks to try and get back in the pack. But yeah, if you're taking on fuel and you're taking tyres on the car, your stop's probably about 7 seconds either way. And so it's really instead to go full push unless you can cut out that extra pit stop. And at this point, it doesn't seem like anyone can. Emily Howe, your new race leader, as there is a pack of 4 or 5 cars fighting for position. These are all cars that did top off under that last caution, trying to extend a little bit, see if they can make some ground up on Hamilton Akabusi, who currently, I think, will be our race leader after the stop cycle out.
Looking at Hamilton here with the cycling, only going to be about a 5-second distance between he and the pack right now, but of course 1 lap down as all cycle through. Selena Thompson's going to be a few seconds back even further from Hamilton here, so I think that once again, that number 7 has the race lead and going to be in even less trouble than before as the pack gets truly separated. Brennan Gregg is now scored as your race leader, fighting with Carmen Sienna up at the head of the field, and it's going to be the number 96 that takes the race lead once more. Looking to lead her first lap of the night, Carmen Sienna at the line is at the top of the charts, but still has to come down a pit road. We're waiting on Sienna, Greg, Lilac Zier, Emily Howe, Parker Alexander, and Lily Fraser. 6 drivers remain on the circuit here, and they're all rushing down the Nellis straightaway together. And when this pack comes in, we'll be all cycled out, and it'll be Hamilton once again on top, with DJ Trout looking to be scored in second.
Just whilst we're going through this pit stop cycle, something that's really cool about, you know, race cars and comparison of technology to each other. This track is like right at the end of the runway for Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, and we have cars going around this track at about 200 odd miles an hour, which is about the takeoff speed of an F-16, and they're both doing roughly the same speed, but they're both doing 2 completely different things. One of the cars is being pushed into the ground and held on that tarmac as hard as possible, whilst the other machine is flying up into the air.
I will say,
so cool.
there was a moment when I was at the Pennzoil 400 last year with Stream to Speed. They do the flyover pre-race, and it's very loud, very extravagant. But because Nellis Air Force Base is behind the backstretch, in the grandstands, the planes have to cycle back past you to get there. And they come from out of nowhere, from behind you, over the grandstands, flying extra low, I think just to scare everyone as much as possible. It was terrifying, but it was, oh, there's a wreck! In turn 2, where did that come from?
And it's Selena Thompson, and one of our drivers was running up in front, contact, and there is a yellow flag. We weren't expecting to see one, but it looks like trouble. And Nicholas Pressey potentially involved. He just disconnected. No, this is going to be up in front with 2 drivers on the lead lap. And they just go out of turn 2, making contact and wiggling up. That's Ruby Acosta involved, and the caution is out. Thompson and Acosta. And yellow flag flies for the 3rd time tonight with 52 laps remaining.
That blows this entire race up. Call her Miss Atomic Bomb. She's just made this race a hell of a lot more interesting.
As we speak, there's 2 drivers left on the lead lap, so it's going to be an interesting thing to see who's going to get back on the lead lap here. I think everyone's going to want to get back there with the strategy still ongoing. Now it's time to find out.
Yeah, those are two cars who had already made their pit stop fighting position in a trailing pack. And yeah, Selena Thompson just running too close to the back of Ruby Acosta, made contact with the rear, it seems like. And this will be a dramatic finish. Hamilton Akabusi, very fortunate out of this one, is given the lucky dog as we run by stock car style rules for the Champ Car World Series. First car, one lap down, is given the opportunity to wave around and will restart third behind Emily Howe and Parker Alexander, and the rest of the field will have to take the wave around to get their lap back.
Going to be wave around city in that instance. It looks like Hamilton Akabusi already scored as a lead lap driver, and it's going to leave us with 4 with DJ Trout also getting the same treatment. Timing and scoring is going to be shuffling for a little while here. Emily Howe and Parker Alexander get that free pit stop and get back on the way. Going to be so many drivers now off the lead lap, many of which were involved in incidents previously. As it stands, of the drivers who are 1 lap down or less, we only have 13 of those in a 30 driver field. One driver we mentioned getting on the track was Joshua Gaiman in the number 61. He started 30th and last tonight. He is in 18th. He has gained and he has stayed 32 laps down for as long as he's been on the track. So even though he started the latest of any driver, he's going to come away with a better finish than more than a dozen drivers if all goes his way here. How about that for Joshua?
It just tells you how big of a wreck that was on lap 30. 12 cars completely knocked out of the race by that and a couple of other incidents, and not able to score anything more than that. Joshua Gaiman now clicking off lap 44 while the leaders are on lap 76. Hamilton Akabusi comes down pit road, taking the pit stop while he has a chance as the lucky dog. Nobody else who's waving their way back to the lap will have the opportunity, but they all should have enough fuel to make it on one more stop. It's just a matter of the top 3 will have the fresher tyres, and we could see a duel. Emily Howe, Parker Alexander finished 1-2 in that order 1 week ago at Miami. Due to their strategy gamble and a good timing of caution, they're back there again, and now Hamilton Akabusi, who has been leading on that low side this entire race, is going to have to make some magic happen to get back there.
I'll tell you what, with that lucky dog, he's been given a bit of a helping hand there. Sure, all the drivers who were behind him thinking, who let you go? Sadly for them, the answer was the race stewards and the lucky dog rule. Him being allowed to get his lap back early and then stop for that extra little bit of fuel, top off his tank, keep that last fuel stop nice and short, is really going to help him out come the end of the race.
Yeah, I remember we've seen how hard it is to pass a car who's running that low side. Emily Howe and Parker Alexander know what they're doing. They are not going to make this easy, as we do see Hamilton Akabusi think about topping off, decides not to. He's got the fresh tyres, he's going to have to do everything he can. As actually, Emily Howe and Parker Alexander have now topped off with 1 lap to go. Hamilton Akabusi has been given the race lead, and they're not going to get way back through with 1 to green. Hamilton Akabusi will take the green flag for this field. They're looking for that extra fuel, see if they can strategize themselves into this race. But we have 48 laps to go. That's a long way to stretch this fuel tank. But Hamilton Akabusi has been given the opportunity to get back to the lead of the race, coming to the green flag. The 83 and the 45 Winstell teammates, sort of long-time runners of that series, trying to make a strategy game work, but they're going to have to pull a miracle with their fuel gauges to make it happen.
Yeah, Hamilton was wishing it. Oh, there's a wreck in the back as cars come up to the back of the pace car. I think that's one of the lappers, Alex Martin, who's lost his rear wing there. I don't know if that's going to extend the caution, but we do look like we're still going to be going to green here.
Yeah, DJ Trout came in at a huge excess of speed. The caution has been extended, and it's really a baffling incident.
For reasons unknown, he just didn't check up there for the field. Like it's one of those things you've really got to be careful on ovals, and if you're not, it causes things like this. It's a little bit careless, if you ask me. Easily avoidable.
Everyone is trying to make moves as soon as they can to get that lap back and get lined up to take the green flag, but the caution laps are about a minute longer than the green flag laps here, and it's a 24-second cycle under green. You do have plenty of time to take it's safe and get back onto the tail end of the pack, and then restart. Alex Martin is still out on track, but that rear wing is handing off. I hope that someone gives notification, because that could be a bit of a disaster if they try and go back to racing speed with no rear wing here. These cars don't have much downforce from that little plate, but it's enough, trust me.
Coming down the Nellis straightaway.
From the drivers here to let them know, and I think he will pull off as the field takes the green flag here.
Getting things going. Alex Martin we're looking at here, but it's going to be Emily Howe and Parker Alexander leading the way. Then you're going to see Hamilton Akabusi again at the back here. So it's going to be strategy call upon strategy call. Now the question is, can anyone stretch it the entire remaining distance? It will be 47 laps to go as we come through turn 4 this time by. Maybe going to be an opportunity to finish it off from here without a pit stop. It's a risk, but for these drivers, the reward, it's grand. A chance at victory lane. Green flag flies once again. Emily Howe going to lead the way, and Parker Alexander in the yellow machine stays right behind. Then there, Seth Wensing now going to be in third.
Alex Martin dropping back to the tail end there on the inside line, coming into turn 1. To try and see what he can do on his own, I think, but is going to stay out of the way of the leaders, of course. Hamilton Busey did get sent back to the tail end there. Maybe with that caution bit extended, it double triggered that call, so he will have to fight his way through. It will be Seth Wensing, currently your leader of the race, with Bobby Blowers and Carmen Sienna in tow.
Yeah, as we saw, we do have Emily Howe and Parker Alexander on that attempt at the fuel saving strat. They did not fight Seth Wensing at all. They just want to be in that slipstream, half throttling it, map 5, getting every single drop out of that tank, every single mile out of that tank that they can. Carmen Sienna, though, looking to the inside, trying to make something work, but Wensing cuts the nose off, takes the air off the front of that car, and makes her think better of it. Your top 3 at the moment, Wensing, Sienna, and Blowers.
Yeah, I'm thinking Howe and Alexander might be thinking about map 8 a couple of times, but they've got to be careful. You can't run that under green; it'll heat up the engine very quickly, and then you end up with more trouble than just a low fuel gauge. Falling back to 6th and 8th currently.
All night long. Seth Wensing going to be leading the way. Carmen Sienna up to second after troubles very early in this race. Bobby Blauer is going to conclude the podium here, and the question is, what will the drivers such as Emily Howe, Parker Alexander, and Hamilton Akabusi commit themselves to in these final laps? Now, 43 laps to go, not a lot of time at all, and it is going to fly. So maybe there's an opportunity here to stick in the slipstream, but when do these drivers think they're going to get the signal to get going? Is it going to be at the very end with less than 10 laps to go? Will it be about half and half? Is it possible to save enough early to be aggressive later? I'm sure these are questions that are running in the drivers' minds, and from driver experience, you guys have a much different perspective here at Las Vegas. Maybe there's an opportunity to get pushing sooner than later. Is that going to be the right way to go about it? Or should these drivers be a little more conservative and use that patience to get to the very end?
I've got to be honest with you, David. When I ran here at Las Vegas a season or so ago, it didn't end well for me. I was talking about how tricky this track is, and it bit me hard. That outside wall at turn 2, in the track conditions we were running in, super duper easy to hit. But that being said, if I am our fuel savers today, I am giving that fuel saving strategy a go as long as I can. As we get some lap traffic getting involved in here, giving Lily Fraser a run at the lead. But no, that inside line just still too powerful. She's not managed to get clear yet. The short run still working out for Seth Wensing, as he's going to stick to that inside line, and Lily Fraser drops back, and that move fizzles out. But as I was saying, commit to the fuel strategy, take it as long as you can, because if this race is anything to go by, we are going to get another caution before the end of it.
Yeah, Lily Fraser's been very opportunistic there. Alex Martin, thankfully, with a new rear wind attached, running the high side, nice and safe to let the field through, but Lily Fraser saw the opportunity. The car's still there, you can draft off them, and nearly made it work into turn 3 there. Unfortunately, Seth Wensing just able to keep the nose alongside, and at that point, again, it's the shorter run. It does a lot of the work. I noticed in that we have 10 cars in the lead lap, and the 10th and final car in that group is our number 7, Hamilton Busey. Led the most laps in this race, but it's pretty comfortable sitting back here for now. I think you don't start racing super hard until you've made that pit stop. I'm expecting everyone to need one. Even the 83 and the 45, I cannot see them going the full distance. So it's about when you make that stop, you take the risk pitting early, put yourself a lap down and hope you don't get the caution, so you can maybe make some moves, or run as late as you can, stay in the pack. But once you're in out of pit road, that stop is going to be critical, and from there it's full push to the end.
It just all depends on how aggressive our drivers are at the front of the field. We saw Selena Thompson and Seth Wansing being two of the most aggressive drivers on track, trying to challenge Hamilton Akabusi for the lead. Seth Wansing, of course, now at the head of the field, just trying to hold and maintain that lead. And we saw Selena Thompson make an exit from this race earlier. I think this field is going to be a lot calmer than it has been in this first half of the race. So it's prayer. It's hopes and prayers for the fuel savers. Keep everything crossed and do what you can to try and make something work. But I don't have hope.
Yeah, their strategy here might be hope for 1 or 2 cautions to fall and then not pit during them, inherit the track position that way under a potential caution flag pit cycle, and hope the tyres and the tank have enough in them to fend off everyone who does make that final stop and take home the checkered flag with the dying drops of racing fuel.
The only issue is how unlikely it's going to be here with 35 laps to go to get multiple cautions. We are much more spread out for the most part. You're seeing Lily Fraser now going to be fighting side by side, looking for the race lead here. Seth Wansing going to go down to the bottom, maybe taking a page out of the book we saw earlier from Hamilton Akabusi, trying to make that bottom side the best place to go all night long. Going low, the 24 machine going to keep it there, dropping down and in, and Lily Fraser has no choice but to go once again into second, only to go up top and try a different groove here. While these drivers battle for the lead, they're dead set on going down a pit road. Maybe that confidence is going to help them out on their second run because they're not saving here. They're just going for what's left in this race. However, we still have a gaggle of drivers, the 3 of which we mentioned previously, and it looks like Alex Martin still hanging on, all getting set up for the final moments of this race, deciding to lay back and let this event come back to them. Trailing Lily Peltier sharp with a bit of draft here, and it looks like Carmen Sienna going to have trouble in disconnect, so that's going to be Carmen's night just about done and done from 3 laps down. That's another driver to keep an eye out for who was in the 11th at the time of the disconnection.
Yeah, Lily Fraser trying her best, bless her, dropping back a few tenths a few laps ago just to try and build a run on Seth Wansing. One thing I've noticed about Seth, though, is not quite holding that inside line as staunchly as Hamilton Akabusi was. He's much more willing to kind of move up and try and block the move from the car behind him. So I'm thinking maybe Lily spotted that and is just trying to condition him to start moving to the outside to block her moves. So, and setting him up for a nice late move to the inside deeper into this race as we come to 30 laps to go even.
I've just had a strategy idea flash into my head here. We see the 83, the 45 and the 7, those 3 cars who were able to make that stop under caution, all running at the back. They have the freshest tyres and they have the least fuel they need to add to make it to the end of the race. Tyres take 7 seconds and that puts a cap on your pit stop time, but that's only if you choose to take the tyres. I think we could see fuel-only stops from these 3 in particular, who are playing the patient game right now. You could cut maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds off that pit stop time if you're choosing to do everything right. And that can be a huge margin to jump the field, get from the very back of this pack to the very front of it, or even break away from it. And that could be the call that we see these drivers make in the final 30 laps of the race. If you're looking after your car and looking after your tyres, these Firestones might be just the end.
Those 3 seconds are absolutely huge. The gap to the front of this pack to the back of it is only 2 seconds. You could throw a blanket over the top of this field and cover every single one of them. So those 3 seconds could absolutely come into play later in this race. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see, David.
Coming down to the final laps here, looking to see what's remaining for the drivers and strategy. Lily Fraser and Seth Wansing going for the lead right now, and if they were to pull through, it'd be a first-time winner for either of them. And for the drivers who are waiting back here, of course, Parker Alexander, Hamilton Akabusi, and Emily Howe, the only one of which who has won a race so far is Emily. Hamilton was dominant at Texas, but ended up wrecked on the last lap. Parker Alexander had a great race at Homestead, but now he's looking for a chance at the top spot. And of course, up in front, a lot of drivers we haven't seen all too much in the top of the charts previously, now getting that breakout race, and we're coming this time by less than 25 laps to go. Approaching what would be the midway point of this stint, and perhaps time to see drivers come down to pit road within the next 10 laps.
Oh, Natty Busey getting impatient here. Emily Howe and Parker Alexander on a massive fuel save with some lappers getting a little bit frustrated, and Howe decided this is now the time to get past them, hook onto the back of this lead pack, and maybe, just maybe, setting up for a splash and dash. You want to be close to the leader if you want to try and jump them in the pit stop cycle. This could be him setting up for that move down onto pit road within the next few laps.
Setting up for that final pit cycle, only 8 drivers remain now on the lead lap, and it's been a night of attrition since the very beginning. Seeing Hamilton Akabusi now make it up into 6th here, surpassing both Emily Howe and Parker Alexander, and there's a lapper very close to the leaders there, and to get away from that trouble, that could have been much worse. You saw Brennan Gregan have to quickly go up to the top of the track, and now that's the signal. If lappers are coming in, maybe it's time for these leading drivers to consider the next opportunity here with 23.
That wasn't a lap, that was the leader of Seth Wands. He called out on the backstretch and still caught a couple of drivers off guard there. We have more cars starting to make the consideration. Again, Busey up into what is now 4th position. He could be making that back down to... We have a car who's blinking a little bit, maybe. No, we have Pelletier Sharp who's trying to race her lap back, of course. Currently 1 down. Hoping we'll get the lucky guard if there's a caution, but he's looking to do it the old-fashioned way. But getting trapped behind the leader. Akabusi now on the high side. Remember, has plenty of fuel, can be patient and wait for everyone else to come into pit lane. And so I think actually we'll go long on this stint before the splash and dash. And is now tucked in 4th in this pack, but 3rd in the race, behind the lap with Pelletier Sharp.
Riding on board now with Hamilton Akabusi starting to make these moves. He might have saved just enough to go for it, and you can see he's on the hot pursuit of Lily Pelletier Sharp right there, but also in the mix your lead lappers, Bobby Blowers and Lily Fraser right ahead, and Hamilton is back in the podium now, looking to pursue the next 2 spots right ahead. Looking down at the bottom side of the track, one machine, that's going to be Seth Wensing gets back on, and now for the drivers who weren't saving, pit road is inevitable. For Hamilton, maybe still the case, but he's got a few drivers still ahead of him in the slipstream, so he might not have to worry about it just yet.
One's in with a 48-second pit stop. Looks like the officials caught him for an infraction, possibly speeding on the entry. Goes from the lead of the race to 3 laps down, and will stay a lap down even after the rest of the field cycles through. We'll have to hope for some cautions and some lucky guards, but if there's caution now, he gets trapped 2 laps down, maybe 3 laps down. That could be race over, chance of the win over for Seth Wansley, who still is in 10th place. The field thinned out so much by our early incidents, but no chance at a podium here tonight. Busey on the top line, looking to go 3 wide, getting a little bit frustrated by this formation with the lap with Pelletier Sharp. Looks for the middle of the track, trying to intimidate her out of the way, and it looks like she will have to back out of that. And now up into 2nd place, Bobby Blowers wanting nothing to do with this. Now time to hunt down Lily Fraser, and maybe he can get back to lead this pack before making that pit stop, or could be content sitting in the wings here, waiting for Fraser to come down pit road and then control the race from there.
If anyone can make the top side work, it's going to be Hamilton Akabusi, as he just peeks out mid-corner and then tucks back into the slipstream lane to build that run around the outside. But as we've seen so far in this race, Lily Fraser just holding that inside line, not letting anything work on that outside. With how cold this track temp is and how much downforce these cars are generating, it's just next to impossible to make anything work on that high side. But my God, Hamilton Akabusi is trying.
He's doing a much better job than anyone else has. I think this could be a situation where some drivers near the front are looking at that fuel save number, seeing if they can make it. And Busey very nearly clear coming into turn 3. Busey knows now is the time to push if you can. He's done the fuel saving already, and he does clear. Lily Fraser lets him slot in, and the number 7 back to the point here. with less than 15 laps to go. We were expecting pit stops necessary for everyone still within these final stages of the race, but Hamilton is exactly back where he wants to be after having to take the lucky dodge under the last caution.
Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful bit of driving from Hamilton Akabusi there. That move was set up about 3 laps before it happened. Like, you watched him just drift up high, cut back late into the slipstream, and build that momentum off the turn 2. Pulled to the outside and was just able to stay alongside Lily for 2 or 3 laps, just keep her pinched to that inside, maybe intimidate her a little bit, and then when he was eventually able to get the run, as they do come down the pit line,
but they wrecked on the pit entry.
And big trouble coming into pit road. You're going to see there Lilac Zier, in addition Lily Frazier going in, and for Parker Alexander, huge trouble as well. Multiple car incident, and the yellow flag is out again. Take a look back one more time as we're going to find out what happened here. Parker Alexander and company, and just when you thought there weren't enough drivers involved with big trouble, it's another group, and it looks like Lilac Zier, Lily Frazier involved, and Parker Alexander catching a piece at the same time.
Yeah, it looked like Lilac there was pinched to the inside by Parker Alexander, trying to shoot the low side as Bobby Blowers ahead was pitting in. And just not enough room to give Bobby Blowers getting to the apron slower than they maybe expected. And just contact there that'll wipe out 2, maybe 3 cars here and throw a massive wrench in the strategy cycle as we start with probably less than 10 laps to go here. Did Akabusi get onto pit road before the caution came out? That is the big question. Lily Fraser might not have managed it, but Akabusi, who was at the front of the field, might have gotten away with a free pit stop there.
Towards the end of that green flag run, the fuel savers definitely looking like a dying breed out there. But now facing down a Dustland fairy tale, as this late caution might give them just the amount of fuel saving that they need to be able to get to the end of this race. Saying that, it's Emily Howe. Emily Howe is the only... In fact, never mind, she's pitted. Ignore me. She's taken the pit stop. She's come back out with a topped off tank and some fresh tyres.
Huge changes in strategy. Brendan Gregg scored as your leader, and as it stands, only 7 drivers left on the lead lap, going back to Zach McBride, and he just got with the field right now. It's going to be a very short field remaining of 30 drivers that registered. This is going to be the final 7 that are looking to go to victory lane. 12 laps to go. We should be going back to green at most with 10 remaining. I think it's likely we even go back with 9 laps left. We're coming down to the home stretch here, and Greg, for the very first time tonight, is your race leader from 20th on the grid. He's at the fight from the middle of the field on up, and it looks like he will go down to pit road this time by and get a little more service. To follow him in, you're going to see there Alex Martin. It looks like Joshua Gaiman stays out for another lap, but so does Alex Martin go through with Nicholas Pressey, and then Bobby Blowers opting to stay on the track. Lilac Zier just made in, and so did Alex Martin indeed with McBride, and finally Lily Fraser. It's going to be Hamilton Akabusi now with the race lead. From the pole position back on up, staying out on the track is the difference, and now Hamilton's got track position, which he has never relinquished under his own power tonight.
Yeah, just about might get onto pit road before that caution flag came out. I think Lily Fraser behind was not so lucky, got sent to the tail end for entering a closed pit lane. But Akabusi was committed, was down below the line and got across it before that caution was signalled. We'll restart in the race lead with Emily Howe and Bobby Blowers lining up behind. Lily Pelletier-Sharp did get the lap back in that process, potentially with a lucky dodge, I'm not entirely sure, or potentially just as the leaders pit, inherited the position on the lead lap. She now lines up in 4th position as we're coming towards the 1 lap to go signal. We'll be restarting with, it looks like, 9 laps left in this race, less than 15 miles to decide who's to be the ace that takes home the jackpot tonight.
Only 9 remaining when we get back to green. It's going to be a very, very quick sprint to the finish here. Hamilton Akabusi has been oh so dominant, but if we look away from this number 7, I'd like to pose the question. If there's anyone that can do it further on back, do you think there's one driver in particular that has the best chance to break through and maybe go for it?
With how powerful that inside line has been tonight, I'm confident that someone can come through the field. I'm not confident that they can come they can come to the front and take the checkered flag from Hamilton Akabusi tonight. All he's going to do for these next 9 laps is hold that inside line. Emily Howe will give him absolutely everything she's got to try and make something work, and she will try. But I don't think it's going to be enough tonight. That inside line is just, as I say, way too powerful.
Wow, is getting very fortunate they're caught up in that incident that brought out the caution. Will line up in 3rd. We have a grand total of 7 cars left on the lead lap. And 9 laps to decide this one.
The home stretch in Sin City. We've gone now over 116 laps, and we're coming down to the very end. Hamilton Akabusi once again has the race lead, and as it was in Texas, he's oh so close to the checkered flag. Will he finish it off this time by, or will we see Emily Howe go for 2 consecutive wins? Maybe a first-time winner can come through as the remainder of the field comes out of turn 4 and passes the Geico restart zone. Back on the way with the 7 getting a huge jump. Green flags out all over again, and it's only going to be 9 laps of racing left.
Emily Howe left a 2 or 3 car gap there to Hamilton Akabusi on the restart. Maybe looking for a slingshot here, thinking this is the best opportunity to clear the 7 and try and take home this race. She'll go to the high side in 3 and 4, but once again Akabusi holds low and Emily's nose doesn't clear. Hamilton leads up the line. 8 laps to go here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, she was trying to make that momentum work, but dropping back, staying in the slipstream. She opened up the steering a little bit on the exit of 4 just to try and get a little bit more momentum.
Oh, netcode on the backstretch. Beard netcode sent Bobby Blowers into the inside wall. We stay green, but for a very solid position, unfortunately, is going to be his race over. Now just 7 to go. And our field is cut down to 6 racing for this win.
Everyone racing so aggressively tonight here at Las Vegas. It's the only way you can make anything happen. Everyone is trying as hard as they can to try and make up places. Emily's still looking to try and build that momentum, and she's given all the draft to the cars behind. Brennan Gregg up 17, now up 18 places now into P2. Emily Howe stalling out her run on the exit of 4 that time. He's looking to try and take this win away after starting like way down the order in 20th.
Now Brendan Gregg looking for the biggest upset of all. That 65 down at the bottom side, looking low again, but still doesn't have enough momentum. When the drivers come across the stripe this time by, it'll be 5 laps remaining. Hamilton Akabusi has been dominant by all means, and of course the race is not said and done just yet, but if he were to go the rest of the way, he'd have led an astounding margin of 73 so far, and it could be up to 78 when this is concluded. Already another dominant performance, but as we saw with Texas, dominance from flag to flag does not guarantee the race win. So for Akabusi here, he's got to hold on for what's left. Up to the top side once more, there's Brennan Gregg. He's going to look high and maybe try to get a run.
And in this patch, we do have the 24 of Seth Wanzin, currently 2 laps down. Not really a chance in this, but is trying to make some moves, probably to the frustration of everyone else racing for this win. We come to 3 laps to go for the leaders. Akabusi still has a bit of breakaway, but Emily Howe trying to build a little bit of a run into turn 1. It's not going to happen. Tucks in behind for now. They are 3 wide behind the lapper of Seth Wanzin.
Coming through the back straightaway all over again. Hamilton Akabusi's been playing the defense game since the very beginning. It's going to be 2 laps to go this time by, and only 3 miles of racing to determine who can come home in victory lane. Emily Howe going to be the driver working just behind Hamilton as it stands, and now she's going to be lying back just a bit to get that slipstream going into the white flag lap. Into the Analyst straightaway, Hamilton goes high. They'll be side by side for second again. It's Brendan Gregg up top, but not enough so far for anyone to make any convincing motion. 1 lap to go. White flag flies for Hamilton Akabusi, the dominant man so far tonight, but he's looking to not have a repeat of Texas just a few weeks ago. He's out far enough on Emily Howe where it looks unlikely, but Emily's got a chance through 3 and 4 to dive it deep. Down to the bottom side for Hamilton. The middle groove are going to get some momentum, but coming out of turns 3 and 4, it'll be nose to nose for second, not for the race lead. At the line, Hamilton Akabusi defies the odds and collects the checkered flag with a dominant 78 laps led along the way. Strategy in his favor, the attrition avoided the number 7, and for the first time this season, a driver long awaiting the opportunity collects the win in Las Vegas.
Wow, what a finish there. The commentator's curse is well and truly dead. I will take that one. Hamilton Akabusi, take a bow. What a dominant drive though today.
Celebration is on for the number 17, burning it down at the start-finish line. It's been a long-awaited day for this entire crew, and I know that now that it's here, it's one to remember for the record books in the Champ Car World Series. What a race that was with the wrecks, the attrition, and the strategy at the very end. Hamilton pulls through, and I think it's, of course, more surprising he hasn't previously given his former performances, but tonight he rectifies the errors and comes home on top. Hamilton Akabusi will win from Emily Howe in second, and third is going to be Brennan Craig, with fourth Lily Fraser, and then from there, fifth Zach McBride. It's going to be sixth and Lily Pelletier Sharp, and it's going to be then seventh and Seth Wensing. Alex Martin's eighth, and Bobby Blowers comes home in ninth, with Brandon Cruz concluding the top 10.
Nicholas Pressey and Lilac Zale finishing 11th and 12th here. Parker Alexander, P13, Commentator, and Josh Damon, after starting 30 laps late to this race, finishes in the top half with a 15th place finish just by keeping that nose clean. DJ Trout, Ruby Acosta, Selena Thompson, and Bruce Silver go to P19 with Mo Perry in P20, and then everyone involved in that big incident on lap 30. You've got Trade Forsyth, Christina Ryan, Edson Santos, Austin Farr, Emma Kruger, Ruby Estes, Eli Sassett, and Bryce Socia. Right, the top 28, Sophie Connell and Hunter Peach finishing out the field of 30 cars, only 6 making it to the checkered flag on the lead lap by the look of things.
A race, of course, with so many troubles for a majority of the field. The few who survived were just about guaranteed a great race finish. But with all being said and done, only 3 drivers to step on the podium. Of course, one of which a first-time podium sitter. Emily Howe, looking for a defense in victory, comes up just short. And for Hamilton Akabusi, it's a victory long awaited. Now, we're looking for our top 3 drivers, and the first of which we'd like to speak to is Brennan Gregg. It doesn't appear he's available for comment just yet. We don't have a copy here on Brennan, so with that being said, maybe we're going to give it just a minute and hope to get our third-place driver in with us for our first interview. Now, still no word there from Brennan Gregg, so hopefully he'll join us in the time being. But with that being said, our second and third place finishers are standing by, and if we're going to going up the order, it'll be Emily Howe in second. So let's bring in your defending race winner, of course, with another very solid podium finish. Emily Howe will be standing by as we bring in our runner-up driver.
Hey Emily, this is Olivia from the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Hello!
So a dramatic race under the Las Vegas lights here. You come home with a P2 finish. Tell me, how was that race just from start to finish? The carnage we saw on lap 30 and a few strategy calls going your way at certain stages of that race. Coach through, how was the race in Sin City?
I've gotten good at finishing second at Las Vegas, especially around March 6th for some reason. But Yeah, the whole race was pretty fun. I mean, we kind of played it from a fuel mileage strategy, so a lot of just sitting in the back in map 5 trying to save fuel, and I was close at the end to making it. I was about a lap and a half, 2 laps short, and I was probably going to just risk it at the end there when everyone pit under green and just kind of coast around for a couple laps to try to save those 2 laps. But overall, fun race. Glad to get P2 out of it. Good day for points. A lot of guys who are up there in the championship are no longer up there in the championship after this one. So P2 with a lot of my top 5 opponents in the back was very nice.
Great to hear from that. And I've got to ask, we saw a couple drivers start from pit road in this race to try and avoid incidents. Were you expecting the sort of incident that we had on lap 30 there or so? Were you expecting this to be the sort of race we had? And was your decision to run in the back affected by that in any way? Just try and stay out of the way, give yourself time to check up for it before anything too dramatic happened?
I've learned that from Winston, riding in the back just gets you wrecked. So I was just in my line saving fuel and trying to be as far up as I could. I knew if we wrecked, we would wreck the entire field. So I just figured that I would use Giga Strats to not wreck if they did wreck. And the lap 30 wreck I did get to avoid, so that was kind of cool. And then a bunch of stuff happened in my mirror. So overall, fun day. Glad of where I finished. Glad with the way it went. Wish we could have less downforce or more track temp, but I'll take second.
Well, great to hear. A great day in the points for you here. And a second place finish here in Las Vegas. Emily, is there anyone to thank? Anyone to shout out? The floor is yours. Congratulations on an excellent run here. And hopefully we'll see you next week at, is it New Hampshire? I think it might be New Hampshire.
That sounds good enough. Yeah, I just want to thank all the O'Hays and the Taylor Mills back at the shops. All the people who tune in for this, everyone who puts this on. Fun Champ Car event so far, or season so far, and yeah, we'll be here next week. Have some fun.
Great to hear. Thank you for joining us for the interview, and I hope to see you next week at New Hampshire.
Just like that, with Emily on the move, we've only got one more driver to speak to next. And of course, our race winner who got it all done, dominant from start to finish. And tonight, Hamilton Akabusi pulls through with a total of 78 laps led. Now, akin to Texas, we saw dominance, but tonight, everything worked out at the very end. And your race winner speaking with us right about now. Hamilton pulling through for the first time in the Champ Car World Series. Long awaited. We've seen your speed already. But tonight, everything comes together. Despite everyone else having trouble, you pull through and collect the win.
Yeah, I mean, I had fun tonight. I'd say it was pretty good racing for a bit. I was hoping for like scorching sun track temp, which would have been interesting, but we didn't get that. So just chilling on the bottom, and it worked out pretty well. I was really like, we were saying like a lap maybe short on fuel for making it on that last run, but the main thing I was like that made me stop saving and just go to the front is I was about to blow my my oil temp was at 284. I was about to blow up my engine, but so I don't think we would have been able to, because if we go into map 8, I feel we instantly blow up from the oil temp. But it was interesting for sure. And got really lucky. Like, caution came out just as I was crossing the line, so I didn't get a penalty. Yeah, but I had fun.
Looks like overall a very fun night for this team. One thing we saw, with so few drivers, there were some green flag runs, but mixed in there, some strategy toward the tail end. We saw the double pit stop and waiting a bit in that final run. You think you were set up foolproof to go to the end no matter what happened there? It seemed like you were lying back, then made the charge and got the track position at the perfect time to defend once more and keep everyone right behind you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Emily and I think it was Parker, if they'd be able to save to make it. So because those are only two I really was worried about there, like making it to the end. But I thought, like, if I'm gonna have to go, I wasn't gonna be able to save as much as I wanted with the oil temp so high. But yeah, it worked out.
everything works out well here in Las Vegas. One thing we want to mention that we saw, of course, from Texas and previous events, that control the bottom groove has been so instrumental in getting these successful performances and now a race victory. You think there's anything that comes to it besides working that bottom side? Is there anything that really helps out in getting that going?
Just really knowing what you're doing with the tools, like being able to know where to go and when is always really helpful. But I mean, just that's kind of what happens at a lot of these 1.5s. Like anything below like 100, 110 track temp, it kind of turns into this. But yeah, just put it on pole and try and just hold it as best you can is usually how it goes with these.
Holding up well from the start to the finish tonight with 78 laps led. Hamilton, if there's anyone else you'd like to shout out, the floor is yours.
I mean, shout out to you guys for the broadcast. I'll watch that back at some point. So it's good watch, I guess. But yeah, no one else really.
There we have it. Domination here in Sin City with a victory in Las Vegas. Hamilton Akabuzi, thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Just like that. Podium, unfortunately, no word from Brennan Gregg, who was dominant tonight. Of course, in terms of making it up from spot to spot, that's one thing that we didn't see all too much in the previous mile-and-a-half races, but that's where Brennan Gregg really came into his form. From 20th up to 3rd, however, that's our 3rd-place driver. With Emily Howe going for a defense, it's a 2nd-place run there. And we were waiting for a while. The commentator's curse is no more. Hamilton collects the checkered flag, 78 laps led, and I think we can finally put the anti-pick stigma to rest.
Look, I don't think we can quite do that so far because every other time we've done picks, something bad's happened to them. I think this has just been kind of like the outlier in the sea of chaos so far even. Speaking of chaos, though, that's a lot of what we saw tonight. There was way too much grip on the inside of the circuit, mostly due to how cold the track was. So there wasn't really any chance for any of the lines to evolve because there was no point really trying to run high. But we do have New Hampshire next week, which is a lot lower in terms of banking. It means we're going to see a lot more lines and there's plenty of drafting space. So it's going to hopefully open up some more strategy and maybe even make it a tire strategy over a fuel strategy. It's not a track I have much experience with, but I think for any insight on that, hand that one over to Olivia.
Yeah, we raced back at Loudon back in season 2. I took home a 6th place finish there, and then if I remember correctly, and it was a dramatic race. We'd have a fair few cautions because it's one of those flat milers that you've got to be very precise, got to really push the limit of the tires, and it's very easy to overextend that limit. If you've ever done some short track racing, you know it can be easy to send the car into a spin. So yeah, it can be a very different race from really anything that we've seen through these first 2 weeks of the season. I'd treat it almost more like a road course race, and those skills are going to transfer over very well. But of course, you will have the benefit of the weight jacker as well as your roll bars, a bit more adjustment. And so that local expertise and the knowledge of the car will pay big dividends next time out. We'll have a similar race at Milwaukee later in the season, but eyes on New Hampshire, going to be very different, and I'm looking forward to it.
The Magic Mile going to come back into play here in the Champ Car World Series, and that ends a back-to-back stretch of intermediates that we've gone to in favor of the 1 mile circuit as we head once more back to the Northeast. However, tonight, you've been watching the Las Vegas 300, a fantastic race put on by every driver here in the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and we hope to have you once again at New Hampshire next Wednesday as we continue our coverage of the Champ Car World Series. As always, we've been the commentary crew here on ABN Esports. I'm David Kreutz, alongside Olivia Hayward and Taylor Mills, and we look forward to presenting our next broadcast of the Champ Car World Series every Wednesday. The next one going to be in New Hampshire. If you enjoyed tonight's presentation, make sure to leave a follow to the ABN Esports Network, and check out the ABN YouTube channel for all replays of our content. We'll be sure to get this race up in the next few days if you want to replay all the highlights from the virtual Sin City. Thank you all for stopping by once again, and we hope to have your continued support here on ABN. And we once more hope you have a fantastic night.